incidents. Well, I was at home actually in one afternoon, and I don't know, I just was playing in my mind, recreatively writing words, and I said, I love you. I love loving you. I love to love you. And I kind of came up with the love to love you. And I called Giorgio and I said, Giorgio, I think I have an idea for a song, because at that point I was doing some demos for him, but he was writing them. And I said, I have this really good idea. And I kept singing the thoughts of myself. So I went over to the studio and to his office, and I sang it to him in his ear. And he was like, Donna, yeah, Donna, okay. And he disappeared. And then I was at my apartment, and at the time my phone was broken. And he sent his girlfriend over and he says, you must come right now to the studio. And I said, why? She said, well, Giorgio worked on that song you gave him. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I went over to the studio, and he had done a track. And I started recording the track. And it was kind of funny because, you know, it was a very sexy track, and it was, I love the music, but I didn't know how to approach the song because, you know, normally I have a pretty big voice. So when I would try to belt the song, it just, it wasn't working. So I had to think of somebody who I could see singing the song and sing it from their point of view. And I thought of Marilyn Monroe. And I, well, how would Marilyn sing the song? So I made them shut all the lights very soft, some candle in the room. I kind of laid on the floor. I took the microphone because I had to look at three men looking at me sing a sexy song. I know them. I don't want to look at them. So, so I began to sing the song, and that was the first version of Love to Love You Baby. We did the song. I didn't want to sing the song because it was too sexy to me for me. I thought somebody else should sing the song, but maybe we put a demo, make a demo, and then we send it to another girl and she can sing it and everybody's happy. So Giorgio didn't tell me this, but he took the song to meet him, and he sold the song to Neil Bogart, who had Casablanca Records. I had no knowledge of it. I didn't have a contract. I didn't sign anything, no publishing, nothing. So when the next thing I know, I got very, very ill for about 2 months. I was in the hospital for a month, and I was in bed for another month. And then this is right after I recorded Love to Love You Baby. And this is while Georgia was in Meet 'em and all this. In that time, I was in the hospital. Nobody knew where I was at. I was in the in Schwarzwald. And I had a problem with my heart at the time. And so I was there for a month, and then I was home in bed for a month. And then at the end of that, I had a 10-day, what do you call it, cruise on a ship. And so I went on the 10-day cruise, but when I came home, there were flowers and dead flowers in bottles a lot in front of my door. I didn't know why they were there. I thought somebody was trying to do voodoo on me. I did. And so, so then, strike that. So then, Giorgio's girlfriend came over again and said, you have to go with me. We have to buy you clothes. You have to go to Europe. I mean, she said, his girlfriend came, Helga. She picked me up. She said, Giorgio wants to meet with you. We have to go buy clothes for you for America. I said, what are you talking about? She says, you got to go to America now. They put your record out. I'm like, I don't have a record. What are you talking about? I had no knowledge of any of it. And I had no contract, nothing. And it was already out there. I couldn't pull it back at that point. It was gone, you know, and life as I knew it was over in that moment. And so I went shopping with Giorgio. We bought a pile of clothes, and we went to America. And that was the beginning of my life in America.
How was it like in America? Very rare. I think well, probably the only case for an American artist coming from Germany with a German production from Munich and making it in the US. How was the reception?
Reception was amazing. I mean, I was totally in shock because I had no idea that the record was on the radio. I knew nothing. Even they didn't tell me anything when I went there. I thought I was going to do some press. You know, I didn't even realize that it was already on the air, or I knew nothing. So they just kept saying, we're going to go meet the people in America, but we have to look good. We're going to play the song in a couple of discotheques and blah, blah, blah. But the song was already out. And so I came and I sang Love to Love You Baby with this. They bought me this beautiful dress, and I sang Love to Love You Baby and did a little light dance sort of. And to me, I was acting out a part because I didn't know who to be. And so that was the beginning of the Love to Love You Baby image. Giorgio had a photographer in Germany. You know, I laid down on a thing and he said, okay, we gotta make this nice and try to make it sexy. I was very nervous. I wasn't used to being sexy like that. I mean, I was a church girl. And so I was fighting the whole way, like, Giorgio, this is too much, it's too risky for me. And he said, it's okay, it's gonna be good. We're not gonna show anything, I promise. And so I wound up doing the photo, the first cover, and that was it.
You just said like when the song first came out or went to the media, you didn't even sign a contract,
Nothing.
no rights, nothing. Was there moments that you thought if they would have proposed it to me, I wouldn't have signed?
No, I wouldn't have. I would not. I wouldn't. That's why they did it that way, because I didn't want to be on the record. I wanted them to give it to somebody else. And there were a couple of other girls that were around I thought would be good for that song because they were already like, you know, and so I was much more of a comedian. Yeah, I was always the funny person. So, I mean, if you ask anybody that knows me from that time, I mean, I was always making jokes and acting funny, like I Love Lucy or something. But so this was an adjustment for me. And so when I went to America, they kept saying, just tell me you're sexy, just tell me you're sexy. I said, well, I know what sexy is. You want me, just act that way. Okay, just act like you're sexy. So I just would always use Marilyn Monroe kind of as my idea of what I thought was sexy. And so at some point I did a takeoff of Marilyn Monroe, which we called the Black Marilyn. And that was kind of the influence that I had, because I thought that Marilyn, I mean, she did some nudes, photos, but I thought in general that she was kind of, had an innocence about her sexuality that I liked. And even though people thought that she was, you know, not that smart, she was actually a very smart woman, very well read, but that was her act. And so, anyway.